Brought to you by the community of certified B corporations.
All right, you guys know that I have one serious set of gazongas to come behind the fabulous Ben Cohen. I cannot wait to get my stamp stampede on. So besides the stamp stampede, I'm sure that you all have also heard the news, and that is the news that by 2043, the United States will be majority minority. Now, of course, the Earth has been majority minority for most, if not all, of human history, depending on who you ask, but why does it matter? It matters because B Corps are building better businesses. Our companies are better for workers, better for communities, and better for the environment than traditional corporations, and measurably so. Fact, the biggest companies in the world do not currently reflect the diversity of the communities and the nations that they serve. Despite decades of diversity initiatives, even the most diverse companies tend to have the highest concentration of people of color, for instance, at the lowest levels of the organization. Black, Hispanic, Asian, Latino, and other minority executives and board members are scarce. Now, women in leadership are faring slightly better than ethnic minorities, but only slightly. The fact of the matter is that our businesses are not changing and diversifying fast enough to reflect the communities that we serve. Now, many of our communities remain very, very segregated. Our houses of worship, schools, and neighborhoods are stubbornly and perniciously homogenous. So who cares, right? I do. And so should you, because you are a member of a trailblazing group of people using business as a force for good. In the United States, 71% of bachelor's degrees are earned by white people, while only 29% are earned by people of color, and that's just bachelor's degrees. The median wealth of white households in the United States is 20 times higher than that of African American households and 18 times higher than Hispanic households. And that wealth gap is only getting larger. People of color make up 88% of the US prison population, and race is adversely linked to outcomes in countless areas of health and wellness, including diabetes, heart disease, infant mortality, and even cancer. African Americans are more likely to die from their health conditions, even though there is no biological basis for race. Generational poverty plagues Black communities as a direct result of our shared history of slavery and institutionalized racism. So as long as race remains predictive of outcome, we have an international crisis on our hands. So what can we do about it? Well, it took us 400 years to get here. And none of us created this mess. None of us created it, but we did inherit it. And the work of dismantling disparity and extracting conscious and unconscious bias from our individual and collective psyche will be hard. I should know, it's what I do for a living at TMI. But the good news is sitting right in front of me. As a community of conscious change makers, B Corps have the power to eliminate employment disparity within our economic sector and within our lifetime. Let's set ourselves apart by working to mitigate any disparity inherent to our respective industries and our respective nations. The B Corp community only has a diversity challenge because our world has one. The difference is that we have both the heart and the means to do something about it. Diversity isn't just good for people, it's also good for business. We know that diversity paired with authentic inclusion actually drives innovation and the business imperatives that support the bottom line. In our case, the triple bottom line. And that data has been proven over and over and over and over again. So resistance to inclusion is actually counterproductive. So TMI teamed up with B Lab to create a B Corp Inclusion Academy to help our community address diversity challenges more effectively. We launched the pilot B Corp Inclusion Academy in Richmond, Virginia on September 25th, and a dozen Virginia B Corps participated in an 8-hour interactive session. The condensed pilot was actually a masterclass version of the multi-day Inclusion Academy. TMI helped individuals increase their diversity and inclusion competencies. We helped teach people how to create more inclusive teams and businesses, and we discussed how to respond to a rapidly changing world. We also considered the B Corp imperative of making a positive vision for a better way to do business, but we looked at it through a diversity lens. So I want to ask you all to think for a moment, how is it that your B Corp is modeling inclusion and supporting diversity? The B Corp Inclusion Academy was designed to help all of us answer that question in ways that evidence our social mission without compromising the organizational cultures that we value. Business leaders often fear that too much diversity too fast will actually dilute the magic that has made an organization successful. The discussion in our B Corp Academy, led at times by participants, actually included a non-threatening, asset-based approach to inclusion, which is the way that I believe that work needs to be done. I have an announcement for you guys. You have nothing to fear. Okay? Nothing to fear. Diversity is no longer a dirty word. It's not a scary thing. There's nothing to be afraid of. The B Corp Inclusion Academy actually focuses on our collective mission-driven desire to use the power of business to solve complex social problems. So if diversity is something that your B Corp community cares to address, then TMI and B Lab have a challenge for you. All right, raise your hand if you're competitive. Nobody's competitive. That's why there aren't enough people doing the social media scavenger hunt with me. I'm very competitive. Keep your hand up. Thank you. Yes, winning, okay? Keep your hand up. Raise your hand if you're a winner. Even if you're not competitive, raise your hand if you're a winner. You do realize if your hand's not up right now, you're saying you're okay. All right, you can put your hands down. Okay, so here's the deal. The B Corp community that submits the most compelling application for a B Corp Inclusion Academy, both in terms of numbers of participants or companies participating and passion for the subject, will win a scholarship for TMI to bring the Diversity and Inclusion Academy to you. Okay? Yeah, sure, clap. Free stuff, we like that. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to get your applications in the form of a letter of interest to TMI by November 1st. Where's Sarah Tandy? Sarah Tandy, raise your hand. If you don't know where TMI is, Sarah Tandy over there is the original beekeeper. We invented that term at last year's Bee Champions Retreat. The original beekeeper can get you our information, so I wish you luck with that. Now, I want to say that Richmond, Virginia, which is where TMI is headquartered, used to be the capital of the Confederacy. And now it is home to over a dozen B Corps that get together on a regular basis to help increase our collective impact. Speaking of impact, where's Impact Makers? Anybody here from Impact Makers? Yay, somebody's still here, woohoo! All right, if you don't have a favorite B Corp that's not your own, you have homework to do. You've got to find other B Corps because they're so awesome. So Impact Makers is my favorite other B Corp. They are headquartered in Richmond, Virginia, one of the founding B Corps. 2014, Best for the World, winning, hashtag yay. Love it. So Impact Makers actually sponsored most of the B Corp community events in Richmond, and they were also part of the B Corp Inclusion Academy pilot. The B Corp Inclusion Academy is something that emerged out of a conversation that was here last year at the Bee Champions Retreat, because that's what B Corps do. We translate ideas into action. So I am so excited about the collective impact that we can all have in the various areas that we affect. And I'm looking forward to figuring out which B Corp community will be the first to take up the inclusion mantle and stand up for diversity. I'm hoping that this is the start of an inclusion wave and not just a ripple. Okay? Actually, let's do a wave. Y'all remember how to do the wave? You stand up and do this? All right, on 3, we're gonna start over here, we're gonna do a wave. Ready? And we're gonna say inclusion. 1, 2, 3, inclusion! Woo! Yay! Awesome. I want that to be the inclusion wave that's felt around the world. Because, folks, I honestly believe that despite the difficulty in making a difference in diversity, if anyone can lead the way, we can. Thank you.
Be the change.